Let's go! Jack Bech has entered the college football transfer portal, and I know he's not on the field here, but that's kind of sort of how this season has played out for him, right? I am honestly not too shocked. Kind of knew that this was coming. I do want to personally, before I move any further here, say Jack Bech, I love this guy. I really do. He jumped on our channel before. And I do think he's still a good dude, and I know a lot of people are going to have their opinions about what exactly happened here, and they're going to say some probably visceral things, but that is the nature of the college football transfer portal era we live in now. But today, I'm going to mostly remain positive about this situation, and I always want players to do what they feel is best for their careers. Now, in the background, you're going to see Jack Bech get open here on this mesh route. He wasn't one of the drag mesh receivers, if you will, but on this 3rd and 3, this is where Jack Bech cooked as a true freshman on 3rd down, just finding open spots over the middle and just being a really reliable, get open, move the chains type of player, and that's who he is. That is in his DNA, but quite frankly, that's just not what happened this year. So I'm going to give you my thoughts on the situation and where LSU should move forward. Let's be honest as well about his situation. Everything just went wrong for him this year, some of which are out of his controls. The injuries, right? So before the season, it was a lower body injury. He's also had back issues. I believe a concussion mixed in there as well. So he has been very banged up. So first things first, he has been very hurt this year. And when you are a very hurt receiver in an LSU room, well, there's going to be people that take your spot and might not ever relinquish it. And one thing I think that's very important to keep in mind is, yes, Jack was the SEC Media Day representative. Yes, he was the most productive receiver returning on our team, not named Kayshawn, and Dre, of course. But what's very interesting about Jack is nobody's position was solidified yet on this team. Not a single person. So, while he was hurt, he got hurt at the worst time, right before fall camp when you really start installing new things in, and right when Mason Taylor arrived on campus. Now, is Jack a more talented receiver than Mason Taylor? He is, but Mason is a true tight end, and Jack Bech made the switch from tight end last year, which he kind of played out of necessity, to wide receiver this year. Now, why did that move happen? Well, last year he was kind of a hybrid-ish kind of tight end, and our best tight end on the roster was Cole Taylor. So Mason Taylor is better than Cole Taylor as a true freshman, and we had to play Jack Bech because, we just didn't have really anybody else at tight end outside of Cole Taylor, who doesn't give you as much as a receiver, if anything at all. So Jack, we had to play a lot of these 10 personnel kind of sets where he was the actual tight end. So a lot of you have asked me, hey, where's Jack Bech? Where's Jack Bech? Well, Mason Taylor kind of sort of took his job. I kind of sort of didn't, right? I called Jack Bech at tight end the 10.5 personnel, and there were 4 more productive and, more importantly, healthier wide receivers ahead of Jack Bech. Then we get into the quarterbacking, right? So, in the background, you saw a timing route where Jack Bech gets in that window and the ball needs to be delivered right then and there for that play to work. Well, that's not who Jaden Daniels is. He is not a rhythm timing thrower. We've talked about this, for quite some time, the bonuses and the negatives of Jaden Daniels as a quarterback. Well, if you are a slot receiver who gets open quickly and the quarterback if a quarterback likes to throw the football quickly, Jack is going to catch a lot of intermediate throws. And the quicker you can get him the football, the easier it is for him to break tackles. Where Malik and Jure and Brian Thomas Jr. are more of the Jaden Daniels types of wide receivers that get open down the field, make difficult comeback route types of catches that fit more who Jaden Daniels was as a quarterback. Also, and this is just pretty evident on the tape. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull it up quickly. Jaden just missed Jack a lot. Mississippi State game, there was a bad miss. Florida State game, there was a bad miss. And there was a few more mixed in there as well. So, yeah, I mean, I think, for those that will disagree with what I'm about to say, that's okay. But I think we kind of forget how absurd Bech was last year, right? But in order to be absurd, you need to be on the field. So just by, the Mason Taylor thing, he just wasn't on the field as much. And I know this is blurry in the background, but that was just such an insane one-footed catch, drag toe, whatever you want to call it. God, I mean, he really was special last year. But things happen, right? So, I gave you 4 legitimate reasons. Injuries, depth chart, the tight end thing, and then, of course, the switch in quarterback. Jack and Jaden just never really got going as far as, like, a chemistry is concerned. But this is the harsh reality of playing wide receiver at LSU. Man, you can have just the unbelievable true freshman season that Jack had, and it still not work out the very next year. And let's also be honest, Jack wasn't the only receiver that didn't have the same productivity that we thought he was going to have. So the LSU passing offense as a whole was just very clunky this season. So that's not really a knock on anybody. It was just systematically our passing game just needed to be better. And, Jack kind of sort of wants to see if there's a better system out there for him. And also, he only has 2 more years left, right? So next year is a big year. It's year 3 of his development. There are a lot of places where Jack Bech, even right now in the SEC, where he would be their number 1 guy or no worse than their number 2 guy. I think there are some other Power 5 destinations that would interest Jack Bech. Boom! Looking at you. Yes, you. Right now. Snap back into reality, okay? I really, really, really want you to listen very closely over the next 5-ish minutes because, look, you guys know how much I loved Jack Bech as a player. I did a full breakdown of actually this play that Jake Peets actually took from the Kansas City Chiefs that they run with Travis Kelce. I remember doing this breakdown. There was a lot that I liked about Jack Bech as a player. Getting to know him a little bit was obviously pretty cool as well. But, it's not like Brian Kelly didn't try, to get him touches, right? He brought it up in the press conference before the New Mexico game. Let's get Jack Bech some touches. And, he became the punt and kickoff returner. And, of course, you guys know why he had to relinquish, that position. It's because he made a few mistakes there. So, look, it stinks, but the program will also move on, right? Especially at wide receiver, where LSU has never been hurt for options there. Never. But once again, never, right? Go find a time in the last few decades where you're like, oh crap, LSU doesn't have dangerous receiving options. Maybe there are a few times where, you would like to have 1 or 2 extra big-time playmakers, but I think we lose track sometimes how many great wide receivers leave the state and become superstars, right? Keon Coleman was in the same class, I believe, as Jack Bech and these receivers, and some of you might not even know who that is, right? Now, if you're from Opelousas, you do, but you know how good of a player that guy is. Man, it's crazy. Dontavian Wicks, there's a guy, I don't remember his name, but he won a Heisman Trophy, left the state. there's always great Louisiana wide receivers out there, and LSU's wide receiver room is still stacked. And what you're looking at here is just the receiving pecking order after the shocking Kayshawn announcement. Jack is at best the number 3 guy. Now, I hope he decides miraculously to come back to us, but I just doubt that's going to happen. It's just hard being in a situation where you're at best the number 3 guy in year 3, and that role for the number 3 guy behind Malik and Kayshawn is going to be very difficult. Obviously, Brian Thomas Jr. is really good. So, yeah, I mean, the depth chart is just very, very deep, and you can't forget the really good guys coming in. You know, I think he's going to go somewhere and be a superstar. I really do mean it. I said that when Trey Palmer made the switch. And you notice Trey Palmer was honestly one of the best receivers in the sport this year. LSU was still fine this year at receiver. So it's crazy how much receiving talent comes and goes, but Louisiana wide receivers are just built different. It's a hard position to play because of the competition to be a wide receiver at the school that the Jamar Chases and Justin Jeffersons and Jarvis Landrys have played. So, I mean, it's one of the spots where it quite literally just churns people in and out, and it can be brutal. Your spot on the receiving pecking order. So yeah, I mean, I remember clear as yesterday, Stephon Sullivan being a really good receiver. Then 2019 LSU rolled around, and he still got drafted, had a great career, but man, it's crazy. So let me know in the comment section down below, do you believe this is a massive loss for LSU? You guys know my opinion. I think it's a little bit of both. I think Jack's a really good player, but I think LSU will be fine. And we'll be fine. Now, don't forget, join our PHL Patreon. I got a few extra nuggets that I'm going to share there. Also, at PHL merch, check it out, PowerHourLSU.com, baby. Let's go. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom. And tonight, oh man, let's go get some brisket. Let's go.